Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Amit, and in today's video we're going to be talking about ways to prevent unnatural results from a hair transplant. Before we start, if you don't already know, I got 2 hair transplants from Istanbul, Turkey, and my results have seemed to be as natural as they can be. You know, I'm blessed and thankful that I have hair on my head now and I'm able to share that journey with you guys. But again, getting a natural look doesn't always happen for everybody. It really depends on a variety of things. Now, getting a hair transplant is already a big deal for a lot of people because, for one, you're already losing hair and you don't know what to expect when it comes to getting a hair transplant. Now, a lot of people's fears lie in the most unnatural looks after getting a hair transplant, because if you want to commit all that time and effort to getting it done, you want to at least have a decent result. There are a lot of things to keep in mind and take note of when considering getting a hair transplant, but here are a couple of key points that I feel that are important to share, especially if you're trying to achieve the best possible result. One of the first key things that I highly recommend is make sure you choose the right clinic or surgeon when you're getting your hair transplant done. Now, there are a lot of times that people choose a clinic and they go into the hair transplant expecting the best results, but then their results turn out to be not so great. It really depends on where you go. I personally went to Istanbul, Turkey, and I went to Vera Clinic because I knew that they had done really good hairlines in the past. And that was something that was really important to me. I wanted a very natural looking hairline. So knowing this in advance, I went to the clinic and I told them that this is exactly what I wanted, the way I wanted it to look, and to make it look as natural as possible. If you have that open communication with them, they will definitely try to assess your hairline and see your condition and eventually try to get you the best possible looking hairline out there. As I mentioned earlier, the hairline is really important to making sure that natural look is there. But one thing you can do is have that conversation with the doctor and try to make sure the hairline looks as natural as possible for your age. Now, I at the time was 32 and I knew I didn't want to have such a low hairline because if I did, I'd look way too young for my age. I recall very distinctly that they actually drew a hairline pretty low on my scalp, and I told them that this is not really what I want. I want it a bit higher because, again, I want that little natural look that I am admittedly getting older, and it makes most sense for me to keep that hairline as natural as possible. So even if it is a little bit higher, it's not that bad. I'm okay with it. By the time I'm 50 or 60 years old, if that hairline is gone, it doesn't really matter to me. But as of right now, at this age, it looks the most natural to me. Another thing that I didn't do was actually get any hair added onto my sides here. I don't know if you can tell, but it's not exactly the most perfect. And again, that's all right because I think a natural 35-year-old would have a little bit of receding there, and I'm okay with that. Again, I'm not going for perfection. It was more of just getting the most natural type of look, which I think I achieved. And of course, you can as well, given that you have the right communication with your doctor. Another thing is to avoid high density in the hairline. If you end up placing too many grafts together in the hairline, you will look way too thick in the front and it'll look really strange. A lot of doctors and surgeons usually put in single grafts in the front of the hairline to give it a more natural look over time. It's important to add more finer and sparser hairs in the front and then add the more thicker hairs past that, near to the mid-scalp and the crown. Another way you can try to get the most natural look is making sure you choose the right method of getting the hair transplants. There are so many different types of methods out there, such as the FUT, FUE, or even DHI, which is a more newer technique nowadays. For me personally, the most effective was FUE because it was the most proven and a lot of people know how to get the best look using an FUE hair transplant. FUE is the most modern method that extracts the individual hair follicles, resulting in minimal scarring and giving you the most natural possible look that you can get. Compared to older methods such as the FUT, where that would leave a big scar at the back of your head, which is very obvious that it's not a very natural look. Another way you can get a more natural looking hairline or mid-scalp or even crown is making sure the surgeon understands the skill involved to input your transplanted hairs in the right angle or direction. A lot of times I've seen online where people have results that the hairline is the complete opposite side of where their natural hair falls, you know, in turn that doesn't really look good at all, and you're going to struggle trying to get a natural looking hairstyle for yourself. Finding the right clinic is really important because those surgeons will know exactly what to do. Find people with a good track record and they will understand exactly what you ask for. An example was that when I went for my second hair transplant, I spoke to my doctor at my consultation. I told him exactly what I wanted, especially with that flow of hair going in a circular motion for my crown. He understood that completely, and we managed to get that done for my scalp as well. Granted, I don't have as much thickness back there at the moment, but the flow of hair is what was important to me, and I think I pretty much received that. Another way to get more natural looking results is by matching the texture on your scalp. The donor hair has a specific type of texture that matches the hair on your scalp, which is why a lot of people take hair from there and place it right onto the areas where you want to add hair to. Generally, if you have finer hair, your donor hair should also be pretty fine, and it'll add on to that. But if you're taking hair, like for example from your beard, that texture might be a little different. If you have a little more coarser hair on your beard, it might be a little different on your scalp, so that look might not be as natural as you would like it to be. Also, they grow out at different paces, so that's something else you have to worry about. Whether that hair will be the same exact length as your scalp hair versus your beard hair. So that's something to take into consideration in the future if you want a more natural look. This also goes for curly hair. If you have a curlier beard and you place that hair onto your scalp, that texture will be completely different. So it's a give or take. You can add more density in that area, but you're risking the texture and unnaturalness of the look. Another way to keep your hair looking as natural as possible is by taking the right aftercare. Now, I do talk about this a lot in my other videos, but it is really, really important to just maintain this even after getting a hair transplant. Because although you've done your hair transplants in certain areas on your scalp, you might have only just done a little bit on your hairline, but your mid-scalp and crown are still prone to falling off in the future. So we use things like finasteride and Nanoxodil to help combat that in order to keep and preserve the hair that we have on our head. So just keep in mind that although you do get a hair transplant and you think that that's all you need to do, it's not really the case, especially if you want to keep the native hairs on your head from falling off in the future, which will in turn give a very, very unnatural look. I have a video showing exactly what I take right now to maintain the hair that I have on my head, but you can also check the link in the description below. There are a bunch of different options for hair care products that you can use to help keep your hair and make sure it doesn't fall off in the future. One of the most important things of trying to get a natural result of a hair transplant look is that you just have to make sure you don't disturb anything on your scalp during those first few months of your hair transplant. Now, it is difficult, but there's going to be a lot of times where you're going to want to scratch your scalp, especially when your new hairs are growing out, and that could potentially damage the grafts that have been implanted onto your scalp. Not only that, you have to try to make sure you wash your hair the right way and sleep the right way in order to avoid any sort of disruption to the grafts on your scalp. I've made a bunch of videos about all of these on my channel. Check them out. I'll link them in the description below as well, but definitely do remember that it is a very crucial and important part of your healing process, and then eventually gets to your most natural look that you want, because you don't want it to be down the road that you realize that you scratch an area on your hairline and then you see that spot, there's a little gap there. It's just not going to be a good look for you, and you're going to have to end up going back for this hair transplant, which you probably want to avoid. So just keep that in mind. The healing process is very important, and it's not to be taken lightly. You can always also have regular checkups with your doctor about your hair transplant to see what's the situation and if there are any areas that you need to improve on. Of course, if you can't do follow-ups with them, you can always do follow-ups with me. I have a hair transplant consultation service that I provide for you guys. We can have a conversation one-on-one. We can talk about your hair transplants, and I can even guide you along the way and try to help you get the best natural look that you want as well. There's a link in the description below. Do check it out. I'm here to help, and if you want to book some time with me, go ahead and we can have that conversation. Alright, I think that's all for today's video. I hope this gave you a little insight on everything you need to know about a hair transplant and how to get that natural look that you want. I've been working really hard on my hair for the past 2 years, and I am very proud to say that I think my hair looks as natural as it can be at the present moment, and I have no regrets at all. If you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.